Hello and welcome to Guild Wars Players News, the podcast where we take a look at Guild Wars game series news and talk about content on our site, Guild Wars Players. I'm Sithrith, and today we have Draculetta.
Hey, everybody.
And we have Athelros.
Duh.
You know, eventually you're going to run out of languages to say that, Ed. You do realize that, right?
I'll find something. I'll go into fictional languages.
Okay.
Megovanen. So this week we've had a lot of news because last week ArenaNet and NCSoft invited people to their Seattle office for ArenaNet and their London office for NCSoft, and so a whole bunch of YouTubers and streamers and press people and everything came to those two offices and got a hands-on experience with the Heart of Thorns demo that they're going to be having this weekend at Rezzed in London no, that's not this weekend, but PAX East is this weekend. And so that demo they got early access to, and their NDA for that meeting finally dropped this week. So, predictably, tons and tons and tons of articles and videos and streams all happened this week showing some of the footage that they got, interviews that they had, tons of information. I haven't gone through all of it, and I know Drac and Athelros haven't either. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of an overview of some of the stuff I have seen, because, there's just a ton of it. There is a list of all of the different articles and videos. I linked to it in the article I posted on Guild Wars Players. So if you really want to be hardcore and go through every video and everything, good on you. Have fun with that. I haven't. But basically, we got looks at story and environment for the Heart of Thorns, like the Heart of Maguma. We got some more information about the Revenant, and we got a look at the new PvP mode, Stronghold. So for the story and environment, basically we got a look at the first story instance for, I don't know if we want to call it the next living story bit, because it's the expansion, but I guess it's the living story.
I would assume it would be. They haven't actually said that, but it would just be a good assumption to say that, because I couldn't see them actually doing something else other than another living story.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's the living story, but it's just coming out with Heart of Thorns rather than like the every 2 week thing that they have right now. But so this is interesting. Obviously, don't watch these videos if you don't want spoilers, but the interesting thing for this is that they did change the tech a bit for dialogue. So, in the personal story, a lot of times when there's dialogue, we get these cutscenes where you see your character and then the NPCs, or two NPCs talking or whatever, and you get this big close-up of each of them, and, it writes what they're saying, and they say it, and there's voice acting and all that stuff. That was in the personal story. In the living story, for the most part, dialogue was through mostly just the dialogue boxes that you click through and you read what people say, and occasionally also speech bubbles. For this is all speech bubbles and voiceover. So, there's speech bubbles, you can hear characters talking, but the really exciting thing is your character actually is talking again, because in previous living story iterations, you didn't ever actually hear your character talk. You'd have decisions to make and you'd say things and stuff, but, you didn't have a voiceover. But now your character's actually saying things again, which is really cool.
Yeah, I noticed everybody was, freaking out about that, and they were, really happy about that. And
Unless if you haven't done the living story stuff, it doesn't seem
which
like
I haven't,
deal.
yeah.
Right.
I haven't actually. That's why I couldn't figure out why people were, all doing happy dances about this.
Well, it's just really weird, because in the living story, it's everybody calls you boss, and, you're the commander of the pact and everything, and you're supposed to be this really important person, but you literally never say anything. It's just weird. Like I said, you obviously have words that you say in the dialogue boxes because you have to make decisions and stuff, but you're a very silent protagonist kind of thing, which is strange considering you do speak a lot in the personal stories. So that was really cool. And also got to see a little bit of what happens in the first living story. I know that's why Drac wanted to watch it.
Yes, I did.
We won't give any spoilers, but we learned some things about the fate of some people who are important to other people.
Not enough, but we did.
It's a little bit of information.
I want more, but that's okay.
We know.
I'll wait.
We'll wait. We still don't know when the expansion's coming out, unfortunately. That was not part of the information released. But I'm hoping with PAX East this weekend we will get some more information. So we did also get a little bit of information about masteries and gliders specifically, and like how the mastery track works. A lot of the stuff is basically, a lot of the information we got from this whole NDA drop was actually mostly just footage and screenshots and more hands-on kind of actually looking at how things we already knew about would work. So like we've gotten all these blog posts about masteries and revenants from ArenaNet already. Now we're seeing more screenshots and we're hearing how these YouTubers and streamers and press people feel about interacting with them and how it feels to play them. Obviously, though, it is a demo, so a lot of the stuff is not fully fleshed out. For example, the Revenant that they got to play in the demo only had 3 trait lines, which is obviously not how it's going to be. There's 5 trait lines. They could only play as human Revenants, but they've said that's not the case. That's not how it is. This is just part of the demo. So a lot of that is just kind of seeing how it feels to actually get your hands on it. So I recommend watching the videos because otherwise just saying the information isn't quite as exciting because it's basically what we've already learned. So definitely check out that post on Guild Wars Players. One thing I did find really interesting, though, was they tried the Stronghold PvP mode, and as you know, I've been getting into PvP a lot lately, so I was like, oh, well, this might be interesting. And even the PvE players, like Aurora Peachy and some of the other PvE players like Bog Otter, who pretty much only PvE usually, really liked this PvP mode. So I was pretty surprised about that, which is, and it's pretty exciting to hear, because, like I said, I've been getting really into PvP lately, and so I like it when people like the things that I like. So yeah, go check out those videos, and you'll get a little bit more information. So Drac, we also got some other, totally unrelated to all of that news, about a streaming client.
Yes, we did. It seems like they are going to go the route that most other games are doing now, where you can actually download the game. It installs enough of the game for you to play, so you can play while it's still downloading the rest of the content that you need. So they said they are going to start the beta test of this soon. They didn't say exactly when. They just said soon. What they said about it is part of our upcoming update for Guild Wars 2, we're going to be releasing the beta version of the streaming client feature. Their goal with the streaming content is to get new and veteran players alike playing the game much faster by reducing the upfront download size when you first download the game or when a new patch is released. This beta feature is only available to players in North America and the European servers. They are going to try to do the beta as well in China, but that's going to be at a later date. And basically, anybody can test this out if you want. All you have to do is just on your shortcut that's on your desktop for Guild Wars 2, if you right-click that and you pull up the properties for it, you just need to add the dash streaming client to the end of the target line on your shortcut. And that will tell the client how to go ahead and do this.
Cool.
My only question is this: I wonder how they're going to do it, because there's several ways game companies are doing this, and some companies have done it better than others.
Okay.
So we'll have to see, because you can use BitTorrent technology to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's usually a bad choice, because with BitTorrent, you're basically sending data out constantly.
Right.
So for like people, with bandwidth caps, which they did actually bring up. Mm-hmm. If you have a slower connection or you are on a bandwidth cap, they said there will be an option to set in the general options menu, which is F11. You can turn the streaming off, or you can set it to only use when your connection is idle, or you can tell it how much you actually want to download and then stop and then continue downloading. So it sounds like they're kind of trying to get this right to begin with. Mm-hmm. And just keep in mind this will be in beta, so it might not work as well as expected at first. Right. But they are going to set up a special section of their forums, which I linked in the article about this, that you can go ahead and post any problems or any suggestions or anything of the like that you have. But we'll have to see how this works out.
Definitely sounds interesting. So this weekend, like I said, PAX East is this weekend, and so they're going to be having the demo for Heart of Thorns there, and there's also going to be this big PvP tournament we talked about a couple episodes ago, back when they announced it. that really, really, really big cash prize. I think it was like $50,000. That's happening this weekend. And because of all that happening, this weekend we are getting another really big Guild Wars 2 sale. It's back down to 75% off. That's $10, right? That's $10? Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, $10. So for $10, if you know anybody at this point who still hasn't gotten it, I don't at this point. I think everyone I know has Guild Wars 2 because of the last 75% off sale. But if there's still someone you know who doesn't have it, I definitely recommend that you recommend to them to get it. Because, yeah, $10 and it's buy to play. So that's pretty awesome.
Well, like we said, last time they did this for PAX South, they did the same thing. I mean, $10 is just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's even if you play it and you only play it for a couple months and you decide that you really don't like it or whatever, I don't know why you would think that, but if you would, you're still only spending $10 for it.
Right.
And like
so
you
much
said,
content for $10.
Since it's buy to play, you can always come back to it as well, too.
Exactly. So there's also some limited time gem store items this week, and you want to talk about those, Drac?
Sure. If you played the game at all, I mean, if you've even logged in for like a second,
you'll have seen everything.
Anytime this week, you have seen the wings. Wings everywhere.
Wings for days.
Oh, everybody is wearing these wings. You actually can't get them anymore because they were only available for a day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming at how well these sold, they're going to come back at some point.
Yep, definitely.
Because like I said, I bet last time I played, I probably counted 50 people that had them on. So It's like almost every other character I saw had these wings on. Yeah,
basically every day this week for 24 hours they have some new special item, and it's only up for 24 hours. The first day was these big, giant black feathery wings. And yeah, like you stand in the PvP lobby, you go stand in Divinity's Reach, you go stand in Lion's Arch, and it's like you're just standing in a flock of crows.
And if you've played the original Guild Wars and you've seen people running around with the wings and that, which you actually got if you played Aeon, you got a special code. These look similar to those wings, but these actually look a little better, of course, because it's a little bit newer technology. So you can kind of guess what they look like. And I thought a lot of people in Guild Wars had them, but holy cow, was there a lot of wings. Yeah, I think it really got compounded because they were only available for 24 hours, so tons of people bought them, like, oh, well, what if they don't put them back up again, or whatever. So they all bought them, they all put them on. So many wings. But yesterday was a Golden Pig mini, and then today is a Crystal Nomad outfit, which I'm kind of thinking about buying, but I'm kind of trying not to buy any gems right now. And because so many people were, trading in gold for gems, the gold to gem ratio exchange has skyrocketed, and so I do not recommend exchanging your gold for gems right now because you will not get a very fair deal on that. But yeah, other than that, there should be more limited time gem store items coming sometime this week, I guess. So that's about it for news related to the game. Like I said, there's been a ton of information out this week. I'm sure I've missed something because there's just so much and I haven't gone through all of it. But I did post a link to a full list of all of the videos and articles and everything you could possibly want out of this whole NDA drop that happened this week. So go check that out. So now on to Guild Wars Players news about the site. And this past week we had Adventures in Tyria number 2, and the title is Dredgeful. Because we did Dieso Plateau map completion with a whole ton of people, and we fought a lot of dredge. And at some point somebody said Dredgeful, and then that started a whole cascade of dredge rhyming puns.
It's the only kind of enjoyment you can get around dredge.
That's true.
Aside from killing them, but I mean, even that gets old.
So that's about it for Adventures in Tyria. You can always go watch that. We record it every Saturday at 5, and because this last episode was just so hectic, we're changing it up a bit, and instead of just having everybody who wants in to join, basically we are having, we're just limiting it to 5 people, so that's me, Drac, Thalros, and then other two people, whoever messages me first in game, basically. So, yeah, if you want to be in on that, just message me sometime before 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I guess Daylight Standard Time, because isn't the clocks changing over this weekend for you Northern Hemisphere people?
Yep.
Right. So it'll be Eastern Daylight Time.
It's so confusing. Time zones are confusing.
Time zones are ridiculous. So, sometime message me, I guess, and we'll see how it goes. Anyway, this week we have another video from Tapco, and this is about the Paragon profession. Drac, did you play a Paragon in Guild Wars 1 ever?
I did not play the Paragon class, so I can't talk much about it.
My friend that I played Guild Wars with played a Paragon, and he really enjoyed his Paragon. So it's a pretty fun class to play. And, of course, Tapco lays out everything you need to know, gives you the pro tips on them, some of the other little small nuances with them. And the first thing he says is a good tip to know that the Paragons are exclusive to Nightfall. So you cannot play a Paragon if you do not own Nightfall.
Good to know.
And basically they are kind of like a warrior. They wear heavy armor, and they carry a shield.
I would kind of say they're kind of a mix between a guardian and a warrior, maybe.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting class. I usually don't play melee type characters that much.
Right.
So that's why I really never played one, but like I said, my friend I was playing with really enjoyed his, and this is another great article from Tapco. So if you want to get a little hint on what the class is like and what the things to look out for with the class, go ahead and give this a read. Good job, Tapco, again.
Thank you, Drek, and thank you for writing that, Tapco. Now, this week, Char posted up 2 article link things, and the first one is called This Is Why We Hate Your Class Here, and it's a playlist of some videos, and Tharos, I know you watched these, or watched some of them.
Yeah, they're, it's a series of videos, sort of PvP, Wolfie World centered, based on kind of showing people how you may feel about given classes. So, for example, it's kind of more entertainment than, just poking fun at the way the different classes play. So, for example, Mesmers, they kind of make fun of the way they say, like, 1v1, except as a Mesmer, there's like a million of you, because most of the time you have a bunch of clones out, so it's like 34 versus 1. Or how the Elementalists have, I think, was it 4 different lines without traits and stuff. So they have a ton more abilities to spam than other classes do, and stuff like that, like thieves jump around constantly, all that sort of stuff. Kind of interesting music choice as well, as a lot of these videos seem to have. Definitely worth a watch, though. Yeah,
from what I understand, they definitely hit the nail on the head for some of the frustrations that you face with certain classes, especially that Mesmer one is very true. Hate fighting
the
Mesmer.
Thief, I think, PvP. As we recall when we were doing completion.
We got owned by a thief.
So many jumping thingies.
So much jumping. Yes, and so his other post that he made is how to make hashtag fat stacks from crafting. And did you read that as well?
I tried to. It's kind of over my head for a lot of this stuff, but basically there's a website that sort of shows the supply and demand for different items in Guild Wars 2, and you can kind of use this to turn a profit.
Nice.
I can't really explain it myself, because it's, as I say, way above my head, but if you give it a read, it should. Crafting. Yeah, well, there's that little fact as well. But if you do crafting, unlike me, you could probably give this a read, and maybe it'll help you make some money.
Awesome. I'll have to give that a look. And Drac, you've got another Sounds of Tyria this week.
I am still spotlighting Guild Wars Factions, which of course is the second campaign that was released for the original Guild Wars. And this one is called Age of the Dragon. And it's still, you can kind of get the Oriental type feel in the music for it. And the reason why I really like this is another one of my
Factions have a couple songs I really like, and this is one of them. And I think the reason why I really enjoy this song is it starts out kind of like slow and very just kind of peaceful, and then it kind of builds up into like this big crescendo towards the end, and then it just like is like just amazing throughout the end of the song then. So it's a pretty peaceful little song in the beginning, and then, like I said, it builds up, and then you can kind of just imagine dragons flying around and while you're listening to the music. So go ahead and give it a listen. And next week I will do, I think, another song from Factions. I still got a couple more that I'm going to spotlight, and then I will move on to Nightfall.
Ooh, very nice. Thank you for that, and everybody should definitely go take a listen to those songs. This week's video spotlight is called AI, and it's actually a trailer for a larger Machinima video that's being worked on by Crew Films. And in the trailer, it kind of sets up the plot for this, and it's basically these Asura are trying to work on these golems and like improve their AI, and as things are wont to do, everything goes horribly awry. And so this trailer kind of gives you a bit of a taste of what that's going to be like, and even just as a trailer, it's a really good video. So definitely go check that out. Crew Films has a whole bunch of other really good videos, so go check out their YouTube channel. And this week's weekly community outfit is yet another outfit from Zero Kitsune, because they just keep sending in so many good outfits. And this week is Zero Kitsune's Char Thief, who is actually wearing a dress. Not exactly what you might think of when you think of chars or thieves or char thieves, but that's what it is. And Zero Kitsune has this to say about the outfit. It says, is that a char in a dress? Yep, definitely a kitty in a dress. It is a very purple and white Winter's Day kind of dress. And to top it all off, the thief is using a short bow, and the short bow skin that they are using is the slingshot, which is a Winter's Day kind of toy skin thing. So it's definitely not what you might think of when you see Char and you see Thief, but that's why it's a very unique outfit. So go take a look at that. And if you want your outfit to be showcased here on Guild Wars Players News and on the Guild Wars Players site, send us your screenshots. Contact at guildwarsplayers.com with the subject line Weekly Outfit. I love looking at player characters, and so send me your pictures. On to the lore book, which is where we take a look at a place, character, race, or artifact and examine the lore surrounding it and why it's important to our gameplay. And this week I'm going to be talking about Lion's Arch, which should be pretty obvious why it's important, because it's a really big hub in game right now. And originally it was the capital of Kryta. Actually, it was the capital. Divinity's Reach is now the capital, which we'll get into why that is. And the reason that is because Lion's Arch was actually destroyed by Zaitan's awakening, and he raised ore up out of the ocean, and so that displaced a whole lot of water. Lion's Arch got flooded. If you go into the bay there in Lion's Arch, if you dive under the water, you'll see ruins, and you'll see like lion statues and stuff from the original Lion's Arch. So for a long time, obviously Lion's Arch was not accessible because it was underwater. As the water levels kind of normalized and went back down, the ruins were used as a safe haven for ships, and the ruins were turned into a kind of a makeshift town for smugglers and pirates. Eventually, it kind of grew up into an actual city, and if you read the book Sea of Sorrow, which we've kind of complained about a little bit on this podcast, I think, it gives you a much more detailed description of the kind of the founding and construction of New Lion's Arch. So it's a really unique city because it doesn't owe any allegiance to any kingdom or race like every other city that we come across in Guild Wars 2. It is the only true melting pot city where all races are welcome, and so it's a very unique city, and it is run by the Captain's Council, which is a whole bunch of wealthy merchants and sea captains. Basically, the two requirements are that they have to be captains and they have to have contributed to the city in some way, and then they have to basically buy seats on this council whenever there's a new seat available. So that's how Lion's Arch gets run. And of course, in the Living Story Season 1, Lion's Arch was originally much nicer looking. Unfortunately, in Season 1, Lion's Arch got burned and trashed because of the rogue Sylvari Scarlet Briar. Did a lot of not very nice things to Lion's Arch, and so that's why it's kind of in the state that it is now. So that is Lion's Arch. Hopefully it will be rebuilt soon, and we will be able to see it in all its former glory, or at least part of it, anyway.
That's a good question. Do you think they'll ever actually rebuild it totally?
In the forums...
I mean, I know if you like, run around, you can see people, they're, like, fixing the bridges, and they're, like, doing stuff. So it looks like they actually are rebuilding it.
Mm-hmm.
But
in the forums, either it was Gail Gray or one of the actual developers said, like, somebody asked, like, will Lion's Arch be rebuilt? And they said, yes, it will, eventually.
Preferably not by Kabaya Mariner.
Right. We don't like him. Kabaya Mariner is the one who basically, not necessarily founded Lion's Arch, but he helped kind of forge it into more of a city rather than just a ramshackle bunch of pirates and stuff. But if you read Sea of Sorrows, we don't like him. He's not a good character. Anyway, Thoros, what did you do this weekend game?
I've tried to roll an alt.
How'd that go?
It hasn't worked yet. Currently, I still just have the Old Lady Safari Mesmer, who I still like. I just haven't really had the opportunity to play much lately. I've tried to focus maybe on rolling a char, just because I find the non-human looking races more interesting in general. I've tried the Thief, but the combat I found kind of too spammy for my liking. I know that's like the idea with the mechanic of you hit these abilities multiple times and then you wait or do something else like to get those pips on the whatever the mechanics called for thieves back up. But yeah, it was kind of too spammy for my liking. Necromancers I tried, but I just didn't really like the theme, I suppose.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, you only got your Necro to level 7. That's not really giving it a fair shot, is it?
I don't think the visuals changed that much higher up in level, and I just...
That's true.
The look of it.
I'm assuming you did Wells and Curses, you didn't do Minion?
No, I didn't even... I don't think I even got far enough where you can summon them.
Okay.
Which is probably for the best.
Yeah, I think at level 7, I don't even know if you have the ability to get a utility skill or not at level 7.
I don't remember.
Which is where all the minions are.
Yeah, I guess the theme just didn't really work well with me. I'm not really sure what else I can try. Maybe I'll give the Warrior a go because I haven't played one of those yet.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. It's a work in progress.
You're basically the opposite to me, where I have one or multiple of every class.
Yeah, all the same race, of course.
All of the same race, of course.
Oh, I did also try to briefly roll a Asura Elementalist because it seemed to fit the race the most. Kind of struggled to make a character that didn't look pig ugly, and I gave up. Yeah. But that's
Asura for you. Yep. Drag, what did you do this week?
PvP.
Woo!
Lots and lots and lots of PvP.
How'd that go for you? Mixed
I
bag?
decided... Well, yeah, I decided I actually wanted to try to give it a fair shake, because I always complained about it, so I thought, okay, I'm going to try this. So I decided I'm going to, for at least 2 weeks, I'm going to give it 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm going to do at least a couple matches a day or night whenever I play, and just see how it goes. It's okay. I had a lot of good experiences.
Okay.
And then I had a lot of bad experiences.
Yeah.
So I was doing unranked, and then I talked to you, and you said maybe try ranked. Because, sometimes the people are better in ranked than unranked, which I kind of did find. I had some pretty good experiences, and the last match I did, people were kind of giving me some tips. Because I guess apparently they could tell I was a noob. So they gave me some tips, and then the group I was in apparently were a bunch of friends that play together all the time, so they kind of told me what they wanted me to do, and they would do everything else, basically.
Oh. Okay.
So, which I was fine with that, because I just basically had to, defend 2 points.
Nice.
And then, so, yeah. So, I'm kind of enjoying it. I can't say that I'm still a PvP fan, but
okay, well,
I found it is a really good way to get your dailies done really quick.
Oh yeah, PvP dailies.
Yeah, I shocked at how fast you can finish your dailies just doing the PvP.
Yeah, I remember we've been complaining about the PvE dailies and how they're really obnoxious. You have to go all over the place, and it's not really it doesn't really mesh with just regular play. But with PvP dailies, that meshes very well with regular PvP play.
Yeah. And Corel is asking in the chat if I'm committing to one class for it. Yes, right now all I've done is my Ranger. I think I might take my Necro in once and see how that plays.
Necro PvP is so fun. I highly recommend it.
So far I've just been doing Ranger, so I might have to try the Necro to see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Well, we should definitely we should PvP sometime. So that'd be good.
Yeah, we should, actually. That would be kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. Maybe for some adventures in Tyria, I can convince all of you to PvP with me.
Maybe we could do that. That actually would be fun, I think.
I think so. I'm way more into PvP than I ever expected to be.
Yeah, I've noticed here lately you've been really PvP-centric.
Yeah, I actually got my Necromancer to level 80 this week, in no small part due to PvP, because, you can get the Tomes of Knowledge from it. And so I got my Necromancer to level 80. And so that's really cool. And, I finally, I got him all kitted out because I've been playing PvP so much, and through the reward tracks I've kind of saved up some good level 80 weapons and good level 80 gear. And so he's already got nearly full exotic stuff, and he just hit level 80 yesterday, I think, or the day before. I don't know. I lost track of time. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of PvP. I think I've noticed that people are jerks a lot more in the practice mode, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
That I did notice too, yeah. I only did practice mode maybe twice, and I was like, yeah, if this is how it is, I'm not going to do this. And then I tried the unranked, and then that went fairly well.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
No, you would think it would be like ranked where everybody would be like the jerks.
Right. But that's actually where people can be the nicest.
Exactly, yeah.
I've had, this is something I would not have ever tried ever in any other multiplayer game. I did a ranked match.
Corel in chat is saying he thinks it's because it's this hot joint. People just jump in to get their credit and jump out.
I guess that makes sense.
In practice, yeah. So they, don't have anything to either gain or lose, really.
Mm-hmm.
Which, that does make a lot of sense.
I got, I was in this one ranked match, and we got they wiped the floor with us, basically. And I noticed that at the top of the leaderboard for that match, at the end, the other player at the very top with tons of points was another Necromancer, and I was like, okay, I'm going to message them, see if they have any advice. And they were very nice, and they gave me some very nice tips, about how, placement and where, how to situate yourself for using Death Shroud and stuff. So that was really cool, and that was something I would have been absolutely terrified to do before. But yeah, ranked, people are nice. They seem to be more, they know what they're doing, but they're not jerks about it. Unranked is kind of in the middle. And practice, where you think would be great for a new player, it's not. People are mean.
Yeah. Obviously, I haven't done the PvP, but as someone who's kind of played a lot of MOBAs, mm-hmm. It's probably some sort of something. At least when I was doing rankings and those, it's kind of like people are there more, I want to say serious mode, like serious business, mm-hmm. but it kind of is.
Right.
They're there because they want to get better at whatever game it is. They want to climb the ranks, so to speak, and that's usually why people are less flamey, or at least not as flamey,
mm-hmm.
than, say, unranked or just practice mode or whatever, where people are sort of we don't have anything to lose, so let's just mess around and troll people and flame and whatnot. So maybe that's part of it, I don't know.
That's a good point. Yeah, so, PvP, that's a thing. So yeah, pro tip, if you are getting into PvP, probably actually try unranked first rather than practice, because jerks, and then move on to ranked. That's my advice for you. But as for more advice, we're going to move on to Guild Wars 2 Academy now, which is where we answer questions sent in by new players looking to learn more about the game. This question wasn't necessarily sent in, but we've had, of course, more friends of ours joining the game recently, and have been asking a lot of questions. And one thing that I've noticed I've been answering a lot lately is, what is a living story? How do I access it? Did I miss out because I just started playing? Basically, the living story is an additional story. So you have your personal story that every character has. And every character has this personal story, and it's just for you, and you control all of it, and you make all the decisions for it, etc., etc. The living story is kind of like an extra story on top of that. It's still kind of dealing with the major themes of the game. They're still fighting the Elder Dragons and stuff, but this is kind of more of a, not necessarily real-time kind of thing, but they come out with these updates, or usually when the season's going on, they come out with updates for it every 2 weeks or so, and they come out with new content, and it usually involves a lot of open-world boss fights and new zones. For example, with Season 2, they came out with the Dry Top region and the Silver Wastes region, which are far to the west of Brisbane Wilds. And so this is just more story. It's the main storyline of the game, basically. You can access it when they come out with new chapters of the story. As long as you log in for any time in the first 2 weeks after a new chapter comes out, you have unlocked that living story, and you have it, and it's free. If you log in after that time, for example, if you don't start, if you don't join the game till after a chapter has come out, you can go back and purchase the previous chapters for, I think it's like 200 gems per chapter. Unfortunately, Season 1 is over, and that is not accessible. Even people who unlocked it and everything do not have access to it because it is just so... It involved a lot of open world stuff, and it really changed a lot of how the game is. For example, like I said earlier, Lion's Arch got wrecked in Season 1. So it's kind of hard to go back and do that. Season 2 is a little bit more instanced, I think because they wanted it to be a bit more, doable or whatever. And so if you still want to do Season 2, you can still unlock it, and I recommend doing it because I don't know if they're going to make it unavailable. I doubt it based on feedback that they've gotten. They do want to bring back some way to do Season 1 at some point, though, like I said, because of the way it was just so open world, it's hard for them to figure out how to do it. But yeah, so you can still get in on Season 2. I recommend looking up and researching a little bit of what happened in Season 1 first, though, just for story purposes, because Season 2 just kind of plops you in the middle of all the characters from Season 1. So if you don't know what's going on, it can be a bit confusing. And so, yeah, that is the living story. Any additions from you guys?
I think I've made my feelings clear in previous episodes. I'll let those speak for itself.
Fair enough. So this week we don't have any Patreon mentions, but we really would love to have your support. So to help support Guild Wars Players, simply go to our donation page on guildwarsplayers.com, and you can help support the Players Alliance on Patreon. And you can get rewards from donating, like you can get a mention on the show, which I would put here if we had one, or you can even come on and be a guest on the show. We also didn't get any reviews this week, and we didn't really have any featured comments either. So we'd love to hear from you. Commenting is open on all of the posts on our page, and you can comment on our YouTube videos, and if there's a good comment, we'll read it off here. You can also send us in emails with questions or just something you think we should talk about on the show, and you can email us at podcast@guildwarsplayers.com. And you can follow all of us on Twitter. The Players Alliance Network is @PlayersAlly. Guild Wars Players site is @GWPlayers. I'm @Sithrith. Draculetta is @Draculetta_72, and Athelros is @Athelros, and of course you can also contact us in-game. I'm at Sithrith.6741, Draculetta is at Draculetta.7410, and Athelros is Athelros.3164. Players Alliance Network has a whole bunch of live shows. Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern is the DDO Players News. Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern is this show, Guild Wars Players News. And Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern is Lotro Players News. And you can join us for all of these shows. They're all live, just like this one, most of the time. And you can find the link for that in guildwarsplayers.com/live. Thank you all so much for listening. And this is Sithrith reminding you to look before you leap.